Satan has used to build his foundation on sun worship and Baal earth worship. Also, you can see the Canaanite star and the star of Esau, Remphan. So I already showed y'all that sun worship was for the lower level people. They were really worshiping the dog star, the dark old sun. They were being tricked, the masses. So today we're going to learn about Baal earth worship.
What secret obsession is shared by kings, popes, and presidents, Templars, Freemasons, and founding fathers, Renaissance masters, modern architects, and NASA? What has been encoded in art, architecture, and urban design, spanning the whole of recorded history up to the present time?
So let me give you proof that all the world leaders are Canaanite and Esau's bloodlines mixed, and then I'm going to get back to Christopher Columbus.
DNA tests show that Hitler may have had Jewish and African ancestors.
Okay, this is a very interesting story, right? Because first, tell us how they came to that conclusion, just roughly.
Well, they came to that conclusion by taking DNA samples from 39 of his relatives. And then they tested those DNA samples, and they found a chromosome that is traced back to both Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jews, and also Moroccans.
Right.
So the Moroccan Moors, or the Canaanites, and the Ashkenazi Jews are Esau. So Christopher Columbus had the same bloodline also, half Canaanite and half Esau. And we're going to go back to Spain, and we're going to learn how the Canaanites took over the education system and taught us all to worship Baal earth. And I hope you see he's throwing up the devil sign on his right hand while they playing chess.
Now, in this book, they talk about the head of wisdom, the Baphomet, the head of wisdom. Because see, Brunel was one that said that the Knights Templars was started by the Moors. See, the Moors, while a lot of people don't know about the Moors were Egyptian priests that banded together when, on the last invasion after they are responsible for the rise of Cambridge, Oxford, you see what I'm saying? And all the major universities in Europe, France or whatever, it's all based on Moors. You see what I'm saying? How did they get it? The Dark Ages came, and all the stuff was lost. Whatever stuff they stole. You see, it was the most, so don't let nobody fool you. Education to the European is from one primary example, the Moors. It was there for 700 years.
So all knowledge came from the serpent and the fallen ones, just like the Bible says, just like the serpent told Eve in the garden, if you eat the fruit, he'll give you the knowledge. So now let's go see where these Canaanite Moors had opened up the universities in Europe and taught us the ball earth theory as science, and we all believe it today, even our children, from the school Mason system.
As Europe suffers, three great kingdoms are emerging in West Africa: Mele, or Mali, Ghana, and Songhai. These were lands of enormous wealth, generated by their control of the trade routes across the Sahara and the abundance of their gold mines.
I gave you fair warning, beware.
The star's size by noting that it was the smallest thing there is. They also had recognised that it was both white and the heaviest star. The Dogon were also able to describe its elliptical orbit with Sirius A at one foci of the ellipse, its orbital period of 50 years, and the fact the star rotated on its axis. Significantly, the Dogon also described a third star in the Sirius system, which they called MER, Sorghum Femal, and which contained a single satellite in orbit around M. The Dogon idea of there being a Sirius C, aka MER, was not accorded any real respect until 1995, when two French astronomers published their results after years of study of what was apparently a small, red dwarf star with the Sirius star system. The conclusion was based on perturbations in the orbits that could not be explained by any other means. Obviously, the Dogon were way ahead of modern astronomers. In addition to the Sirius star system, the Dogon mythology includes knowledge of Saturn's rings and Jupiter's four major moons, none of which can be seen by the naked eye, and it was only by Galileo and later astronomers' telescopes that either could be seen. The Dogon also have long known that planets orbit the Sun. According to the Dogon, their astronomical knowledge was supposedly given to them by the Nomos, amphibious beings sent to Earth from Sirius for the benefit of mankind. The name comes from a Dogon word meaning to make one drink, with the Nomos also being called masters of the water, the monitors, and the teachers. The Nomos, considered to be saviours and spiritual guardians, were allegedly more fish-like than human and had to live in water. So how did the Dogon know about Sirius B when they had no telescopes? How, for that matter, did they know that Saturn had rings, and that the moon is dry and barren, and that Jupiter has four large moons? These four moons of Jupiter are called Galilean because Galileo was the first to see them when he pointed his telescope at Jupiter. The moons of Jupiter and Saturn's rings are only visible through a telescope. The Dogon mythology can be traced back to the Nomo, the human fish creatures from their creation myths. Their creatures are comparable to the Owains of Sumerian mythology, who are also a half-fish, half-human creature who brought civilization to the ancient people. Further still, there are links with Egyptian and Greek mythology, including that of the Mayan people. They visited the Dogon, the Babylonians, and possibly the Egyptians and the Mayans, and the astronomical knowledge of the Dogon came from this contact. The Dogon stories tell the legend of the Nomos, who arrived in a vessel along with fire and thunder. After they arrived here, they put out a reservoir of water onto the earth, then dove into the water. There are references in the oral traditions, drawings and tablets of the Dogons to human-looking beings who have feet but who are portrayed as having large fish skin running down their bodies. The Nomos were more fish-like than human and had to live in water. They were survivors and spiritual guardians. The Nomo divided his body amongst men to feed them. That is why it is also said that as the universe had drunk of his body, the Nomo also made men drink.
So are y'all putting this together yet? All knowledge that they call science today in school comes from the fallen angels, the sons of Nimrod, the Canaanites. Look at the name of the planets. Saturn, that's Satan. Venus, that's Lucifer. Why all these planets are worshipped as demonic gods? Let's go a little further back. So you can see here, the Dogon teachings also went over in Europe into religion, wearing the fish hat of the Dogon fish god, which the Pope still wears till today.
With concepts of nature and the universe that are unique among the so-called primitive peoples of Africa. These beliefs, interwoven in a tapestry of complex symbols and legends, are known only to a handful of tribal elders. In preparation for the ritual, a tribal artist begins an elaborate map of the universe. The words of the organ are translated into an astonishingly accurate view of the heavens. The planets of our solar system are shown in their proper orbits around the sun. The rings of Saturn and the moons of Jupiter, invisible to the naked eye, are described in accurate detail. But most remarkable is their knowledge of a distant star called by them Potolo.
So these are the Sumerians, and these are the tablets they have. And this is the first knowledge of the ball, earth, and the sun, the way we learn it in school today. These are the fallen ones, like I said, the sons of Nimrod.
Come from the cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia, the Fertile Crescent itself. And we weren't even aware of the Sumerians altogether until more than 150 years ago, upon the discovery of a massive cache of clay and stone tablets in modern-day Iraq. And real quick, you can see here, they utilized cylinder seals to create these tablets. But at the ancient library of Ashurbanipal in modern-day Mosul, Iraq, they found more than 30,000 of these tablets, many of which were broken. And this is also the same location where they found these infamous winged bulls. Some refer to them as the Anunnaki, or the sky gods, and there's so much speculation and debate about these. But this just happens to be the same
Found on the door hinges of the Church of the Martyrs in South London. The winged serpent also became prominent in the Vatican. And on the top of St. Martin's Church in London.
In the Catholic Church, after they kicked the Moors out of Europe, picked up the ball earth theory and gave it to the world.
The snake became a common symbol.
Do you see the serpent on the ball?
The pagan high priest, as the incarnation of the sun god, became the Pope as the vicarious Christ. Calling himself by the Babylonian title of bridge builder between God and man, Pontifex Maximus. Perhaps the most damning evidence is the choice of titles within the Roman Catholic Church. Using the system of transliteration, that is, giving a number value to certain letters, which was originally developed in Babylon, we see the values of these titles. Of particular importance is the fact that the Pope, as the Vicar of Christ, also has the number value of 666. 666, the number not just of a system, but also of a man, the Pope. Every Pope has this title, this number.
As if to confirm its roots, the papacy embraced the astrological system as its own.
Ball Earth again. So I hope y'all understood this. I tried to pack 1,000 years of history in 15 minutes. I'm gonna have to do a part 2. But basically the Canaanites came into Europe, took over the school system, which they run the school system in America till today, and taught the ball earth theory. And this is all serpent worship. Peace. I'll be back with part 2 soon.